Next, we have a Skype contribution from Dr. Siham El-Kafafi, if you wouldn't mind, Professor Alam. She's going to talk to us all the way from New Zealand about women's role in social entrepreneurship. So she's the current Director of Research at the International College of Linguistics Business School and Education Group. But before becoming an academic, she has been an industry leader in the medical sector, manufacturing and the service industry. And she's going to speak to us today about women's role in social entrepreneurship and the ways that it can help peace and development. Dr. Siham, can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Siham?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And can you see us?
A little bit.
Okay.
Am I standing and walking now? Good morning, everybody. Today I am going to be talking to you about my research. So I'll be presenting the important role played by women in entrepreneurship as their key factor in promoting gender equality, reducing gender-based violence, promoting peace between territories and developing the country. So in order to do that, I am going to also discuss the literature survey that I've conducted about women to investigate the following things. First things, identifying the definitions and the differences between traditional entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship concepts, women entrepreneurship activities worldwide, then women and social entrepreneurship, leading to the characteristics of entrepreneurial women, what are the challenges, recommendations, and conclusion. So if we're going to look at the basic entrepreneurship definition, it's an act that involves opportunities, acquiring resources, and building on organizations to create value. In other words, it's a vehicle, an economic vehicle for taking products and services to the marketplace. On the other hand, the social entrepreneurship, it implies that the products and the services and the innovative process of entrepreneurship should have also a social value beyond only the transaction to the parties. The social entrepreneurship is a new concept that is drawing on thinking for both business and non-profit world. This concept, there is not one agreed upon definition, but these definitions that I'm presenting are the most popular ones that popped up in literature. So it says that it's a process involving innovative use of and combinations of resources to pursue opportunities to catalyze social change and address a social need. It's an attempt at new social enterprise with social or community goals. So where the investment here is not in the profit as much as its return to the investors. In other words, we are trying here to stimulate sustainable development by creating innovative and creative change. Let's have a look at the difference between both models, the traditional entrepreneurship versus the social entrepreneurship. If we're going to look at the model itself, the traditional one depends on two things: the entrepreneur, who is the innovative person who seizes initiative, takes risks, and directs the organization towards creativity. And the other dependent in this model is the process of expanding wealth, so offering value for products and services with the aim of economic gain. On the other side, if we look at the social entrepreneurship, the model depends on the 3 Ps. People, which is equality and equal opportunities for everybody, the planet, environmental protection, and profit, the financial sustainability and reinvestment of profits. Of course, those two models or concepts have advantages and disadvantages. So if we look at the traditional entrepreneurship advantages, of course, when people embark on it, what do they want is control of their own fate. They want to utilize their own potential. They want to be acknowledged by the society. They want to fulfill their specific achievements and a possible financial gain. But if we look at the social entrepreneurship, what it's looking at more is adding value to the beneficiaries, helping the expansion of strategic programs in order to accomplish organizational mission statements. Of course, making people in organization aware of certain problems and perhaps involved in solving them, providing internal strength to organizations through organizational culture, involving employees in a worthy cause, and improving organizational image, because of course this is going to happen through the improvement of public opinion. In relation to the disadvantages, both concepts are the same. In this point, you are taking high risk. There's uncertainty when it comes to your earnings. There is a possibility of failure. Of course, you're working lots of hours, which decreases your quality of life. And also it creates high stress due to the great responsibilities. Accordingly, we would like to have a look now at the women entrepreneurship activities worldwide. And there has been a report by GEM, which is the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, about women's entrepreneurial activities that was published in 2016-2017, indicating that there has been a 10% increase in women's entrepreneurial activities, and the gap between genders has narrowed by 5%. This survey covers 69% of the world's population and 85% of the world's GDP. It is one of the largest and most comprehensive studies in the entrepreneurial world. So let's look at what has been happening worldwide. Women entrepreneurs have a 5% greater likelihood of innovativeness compared to men. In North America, there has been 38% of women with innovative products and services. In Sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America, the women have been into business. Around 56% have reported that they have exited due to lack of financial reasons, support. The discontinuance levels among women are lower in Asia, Europe, Middle East, and North America. 10% of women entrepreneurs operate their business solely, and they are not having any intentions of adding any employees in the next 5 years. Europe reported that they have the highest frequency of one-person female business activities, while North America are the lowest. Sub-Saharan Africa, they are maintaining a high regional average of entrepreneurial activity. The MENA region reports the highest average female growth expectation at 37%. Over half of the women entrepreneurs in the UAE, Qatar, Tunisia expect to hire 6 or more employees in the next 5 years. Women in Saudi Arabia and Morocco are more likely than men to have these ambitions too. The participation of women in entrepreneurship is of higher level than men in Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, Mexico, and Brazil. if we're going to look at that figure, this figure has been published by the OECD in 2012, and it's reporting that the birth rate of female-owned enterprises are higher than that of male-owned ones. And this reports in Australia, Finland, Italy, Netherlands, New Zealand, Slovak Republic, Spain, and Sweden. So, how are women contributing in the social entrepreneurship field? The research findings show that women's participation rate in the non-profit sector, including paid employment, is actually higher than men's. There's even commercial entrepreneurs, women, seem to emphasize social goals more than economic goals. So that begs the question, why there is higher percentage of women who participate in social entrepreneurship? And the research indicates mainly two reasons. The first one is that women are generally more altruistic and socially minded than men. In other words, they are caring more about the social payoff and more than the profit gain. The other indication was that women are sometimes reluctant to engage in competitive environments. So if we're going to look at the social enterprise, there is actually less competition in the market. It is less mature. It is less dominated by competitive pressures. So you find that women are tending more to start and manage social enterprises. So what are the characteristics of those entrepreneurial women? It's been reported that they enjoy a slight edge when it comes to teamwork, group communication skills, and social media. And especially in the ICT businesses, women-owned firms, it has been really successful in the global market and stimulated a lot of growth and business expansion. So we look at these results and we can say that women entrepreneurs are providing income for their families, employment for their communities, products and services of new value around the world. But let's bear in mind also that those studies are actually calling for gender integration. In other words, they're trying to ensure a gender balance, to increase the talent pool and enable everybody to realize their full potential. There has been also, according to the new work models, a new concept that is in the rise, which is called the social women. So this is depending on social networking. So it's allowing women to reach many target groups, which is actually a brilliant haven for marketing for a business. So social women are doing what most women do naturally. We have the tendency to create relationships, we connect, communicate, and like to be supportive in our nature. There's also research that posits that women are consensus builders, conciliators, and collaborators. So those types are actually the ones who tend to use transformation leadership style. And that leadership style depends on engagement and motivation, which is very suitable for the emerging workplace that we're living in, which is less hierarchical workplace. Having said all of that, we are confronted with some motivation in the field of entrepreneurship. There are some challenges that is created through societal, personal, and economic circumstances that has the potential of hindering women activities as entrepreneurs. And this is a list of some of them, like lack of education, lack of appropriate business support, low level of confidence and self-esteem, some social barriers, family barriers, general discrimination. Of course, the biggest thing is lack of financing, the impact of caring and domestic responsibilities of women, difficulties when you are shifting from benefits to a self-employed and a business owner, lack of motivation, social backwardness, poor management skills. The list can keep going on. All these challenges, of course, depends on which country it's in, or the society, or the surrounding circumstances. So the following are the recommendations that I'm proposing for governments around the globe that should recognize the importance of the role played by women in social entrepreneurship because of their position in the families, their capabilities and attributes, and to provide them with adequate resources to support them. For example, providing supplier diversity legislation with an implicit focus on women-owned businesses. It's been reported that globally there's only 2 governments that have this legislation, one in the USA and the other is in South Africa. The other recommendation ensure that legislation provides equal opportunities for both men and women, where legislation is gender neutral to ensure that there is actually no discrimination. Also securing financial means of support for women for the initial investment when they are going into social entrepreneurship, and also providing sustainability on later stages of the entrepreneurial activity. Of course, the securing of special tax conditions for the non-profit entrepreneurial programs, encouraging programs of social entrepreneurship, identifying support program mechanisms for women entrepreneurs through their value chains in order to reach all the areas where women entrepreneurs are concentrated. And finally, encouraging private sector to become more actively involved in programs of social employment. So in conclusion, women entrepreneurs are seen as a mechanism for social inclusion, empowerment, institutional change, and local development. Women entrepreneurship is a recent phenomenon in developing nations. Different factors have been creating barriers in developing the women entrepreneurs in the developing world. Even though there has been an increase in women entrepreneurship, and more specifically social entrepreneurship due to women's characteristics and nature, there are still challenges that need to be managed through the collaboration and support of individuals, communities, society, and nations. I would like to end with a word by Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "If by strength is meant moral power, then woman is immeasurably superior." Women are the backbone of the society, so let's work for gender integration to realize men and women fulfill their potential. Thank you.